Hey everyone, welcome to the lab. It's Dan here. Today I'll be doing a deck profile for Flower Partner Frau. So this is Green Red Plus with a better finisher. So what Frau does here is that she has a passive skill that when you deploy or summon a Jade, Thunder Spirit or Nexus, you can put her from your hand to your open zone. When you've done so, you add 2 count, and once per game, her name, you gain 2 life. So what she essentially does here is she starts the game with 7 life, because you can deploy a Nexus or you can deploy a or you can summon a cheap spirit, and then you just straight up go to 7 lives and 2 count. So to take advantage of that, we are running 12 Jade Thunder Nexuses, so we shall start with those first. So we'll start from the ones in BS64. First is the Towering Strange Divine Trees. On deploy it gains 1 count and you add a call from Void to the Nexus. And during the opponent attack step, when an opposing spirit attacks, you exhaust an opposing spirit. So this is not optional, they will need more attackers if they want to go wide. If they are tall deck that attacks with only one body, then this doesn't really affect them as much. However, we have the other Nexus, the Flower Field, which lets you draw cards when your life is reduced. If you have a Frau on board, instead of drawing 1 card, you can draw per life reduced. So if your opponent hits you with like 2 symbols, 3 symbols, and you have a Frau, then you can draw more cards, basically, rather than the one-off per instance of damage. We also run the Great Waterfall Gunnerbird, mostly because it's a good going second card, because you can deploy Gunnerbird, declare Frau, go plus 2 count, gain 2 life, and you can also trigger Barbivette to draw you an extra card and gain 1 extra call. So it's like super optimal second turn play. And it also has a nice effect of a passive that when you're at 6 counters or more, every heavy exhausted Spirit Nexus cannot activate their effects and they cannot refresh. So it's basically a Howl Ares on steroids. That's really all it's there for. Next, we have the Thundercloud Plane. This is actually a combo piece that does well with Atlas, and we will explain that further. So Thundercloud Plane has a Mirage effect, so you put this in your burst zone while your Jade Thunder's Friendly Spirit is attacking. Besides so-called, calls on opposing reserve and groundwater Nexuses can't be moved. So this restricts your opponent from using calls in their reserve, so they can only use calls from field. And coincidentally, Atlas's first passive is your opponent can't use calls from field other than so-called. So having both together means your opponent just can't use their calls unless somehow their reserve is unaffected or the spirit is unaffected. So that's why the instant win con is so good there. However, as we go further down, the win condition will feel more solidified. So moving on, we shall look at the win condition here, which is the Flowerlands Bloom Stand. So what it does, it has Engage. When you brave this to a Frau in pre-advent, you can draw 3 cards from deck bottom. If your life is 7 or more, you draw extra 2 cards. So if you manage to stall the game enough that you are at 7 life when you use the Engage, it's basically solving green's problems by drawing 5 cards straight with no repercussions whatsoever. So that's what makes this brave turn the deck into green red plus. However, there's also 2 more lines of text that when he attacks, your opponent can activate burst effects. Also, for every 3 counters you heavy exhaust in your opponent's spirit outlet. So normally you will hit at least 1 target once you have Frau on board, because your Frau will put herself on zone, gain 2 count, on attack gain another 2 count, so you'll be at 4. So that's at least 1 target. But as the game goes on, gradually you will have more. Count means you can target more spirits and ultimates to heavy exhaust, which is sweet honey for Gunnerbird, so that you shut down their effects as well. And the last line of text, this one is the spicy one here. So on attack, when you have 6 counters or more, this spirit's exhaustion effects and banish effects cannot be prevented by opposing effects. So basically, it just made your first skill so much stronger, and it always makes good number alive. So your opponent is just completely stunned. So to get to stalling to 7, stalling at 7 life and staying alive, we run 3 Butterfly Jammer and 3 Bind Edge. They have the same Mirage effect that lets you heavy exhaust in your opponent's toss for a little spear or ultimate at the start of the attack step. Which means you stop all the aggressive chibis that exist in the era, which is completely insane. Because a lot of the partners are relatively small, at like 2 cost, 3 cost. Some of them are 4 cost, and most of those have on attack effects that give count. So being able to stun them a bit there is insane. And we run 6 copies so that we ensure we start the game with at least one of them. So again, we have the 3 Lavidets, 3 Atlas. Atlas is the win con. Needless to say, you want to see this in your hand once you hit 7 count and hit ASAP along with a Brave, which we will be able to find. So the 3 Atlas has an extra skill when Brave and Advent. Level 2 when attacked, you can banish up to 3 exhausted opposing spirits ultimates with VP equal or inferior to this spirit. So at level 2 you're 17k, if you're Brave, you're either 22k or 19k, and then your OC gives you extra 10, which means you're basically able to target almost anything on your opponent's board. Oh, and would I like to mention that the first effect, here's the ultimates that left the field, will have their cores move all trash, and your banish cannot be prevented because you're usually Brave to Bloomstem, which means you essentially clear your opponent's board completely of core, and then you can't use their reserve core because they are stuck with Thundercloud. So that's the win condition we're trying to achieve here. Just 3 symbols swing in, they can't move, and they just die. Now to enhance that win condition, we run 2 copies of Leo's Even, because Leo's Even can target one opposing spirit alternate on Nexus, heavy exhausted, and until the next end step it can't refresh. Can't be refreshed, nor can it activate its effects. So that's one good thing, because Frau on attack can summon a green only spirit from hand without paying the cost that is lower. There is the same cost as her or lower. So being Brave, she's at least 10 cost, which means easy Leo's Even. And during your attack step, when your spirit's attack reduce the opponent's life, send 1 life to the reserve. If you have 4 counters or more, you send 2 lives instead. So basically, if your opponent is not another Frau, your Atlas with a Brave swinging in, you can banish your opponent's board and go for Leo's Even, and then just declare that you have 5 symbols essentially, because your opponent probably can't move, right? So that's like super disgusting as a combo. Although yes, the costs are very high, so that's why you run a high amount of Nexuses to compensate the lack of sort of lack of mid game, but we will just skip to the mid game anyways. So that's why 2 copies of Leo's Even, and then we run the 1 spicy tech of Timberland Pro just in case we want to go for the multi-symbol swing. It counts your opponent's heavy exhausted stuff, so it synergizes pretty well considering we want everything to stay heavy exhausted. So to buy our Braves, we run 3 copies of Botany Maiden Frau. There's also the other boss that opens top 4 to search for a flower contract / green Brave. As much as I would like to run that, apparently the deck doesn't really have a lot of space. Although I may cut the 3 Lavidets for it if I do so want to add her in. But at the moment I don't think it's necessary because we also run Teppo Nanafushi to draw more cards. They also provide the symbol and is searchable by Botany Maiden. So again, the deck just cycles itself relatively easily with this, and this. You also have your Lavidet and your Nexus, so if they really do hit you, you still can draw into cards. So the reason why we're not running any like defense magic of some sorts is because we're running the get out of jail card, Hitotsue. Why do I say get out of jail? It's because you can advent her. Treating your so-called being sent to trash if you have 4 counts or higher means you can disregard the fact that you have the soul core, so you can just aggressively go into your Kaiser or your Brow to set up. Then once it comes to your bonus turn and you feel like you're gonna die, you go into Hitotsume and you just get free call. Because when advance part once per turn, during this turn when your life is reduced, you gain that many from Void. As long as the damage isn't lethal, you're not losing that game because you just keep gaining back the life you lost. So that's why she's at 3, and it's the get out of jail defense card that we run. If I were to run like Diamond Walls or Burst Walls, I might cut like 1 of her and 1 Bindage or 1 Butterfly Chamber to fit 3 Diamond Walls or 3 Burst Walls. But I wanna be very aggressive on the strat, so that's why everything is at 3 for now. And yeah, that is the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed it. The list is super strong, although there can be better adjustments to make the deck a lot more flexible, because Hitotsume is a very strong advent, so you can technically use her to chain off to your other cost 6 and higher advents that like cross level, for example. If you decide to play green ramp instead of the flower contract risk. So the deck has quite a high ceiling, and its floor is like relatively high up there as well. It's on par with like Purple Evangelion, where this is the standard of a meta deck, or at least what is needed to be at least called a meta deck, because we have a win condition that almost can't be stopped, and you can get there relatively easily without much effort, unless you get super hard control, which is very rare. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this list. If you like what you see, do hit that like and subscribe button. Do ring that bell as well. So if you guys want to download VASSAL, I also have the links in the description, so you can check that out as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again soon. じゃあねー。